Guess what? I just realised that my camera was not recording the entire time. Firstly, break down those 2 grades. Secondly, 5 tips and tricks about colouring and grading. Let's go. First grade, I'm going to try the standard Rec 799 LUT. Don't like it, scrap it. First node exposure. While playing with your curves, eyes on the scopes, make sure you're retaining as much information as possible. Second node is going to be the standard white balance, a bit of saturation on top to bring everything alive. And voila. So with this second grade, I'm not going to break down every node, but rather just give you my fault chain. Put a standard film look LUT at the end, make sure it's at the end, dial it down to taste, 1 node for exposure, 1 node for color balance. So just so you can come back to them later. One thing I do like to do is I like to sort of chop up my image into chunks. These chunks are going to be based on their luminance value, so I'm going to use a luminance key, right? So in summary, when I say dark shadows, you guys come down, only they're going to come down. You can see in the grading that how it's quite helpful to be able to pick which sections you want to adjust. It really does help add that third dimension to your scene because you can sort of separate layers and give them their space. I like to sort of emphasize the light sources in the scene. That's why it's really important to know where light's coming from. Increase the brightness on myself, so that's going to be emphasizing the sunlight. I'm going to increase the brightness of the background below the light, but then add some contrast to just sort of bake everything together. There is a neat little trick using soft lights as the composite mode in layer mixes to sort of have that beach bypass look in your image. Bearing in mind, when I was grading this, I wanted that sort of beach bypass look. I wanted that gritty feeling. In this next node, I'm just going to be randomly pushing and pulling the colors and say I'm a colorist, and I just added a look. I like to be really strong with my initial grade and then sort of mute my shadows and highlights, just to make sure that my blacks stay black and my whites stay white. I also like to increase the saturation in my mid areas, just to sort of leave the viewers eye using saturation to what's important.
I thought it would be more entertaining to... What are you doing? To come on a ride with me instead of just watch me sitting down and talking about 5 tips and tricks to colour.
Think. When you look at your image, sort of think and understand what's going on in the frame and what you can use to your benefit as a colorist.
So every picture has a sort of balance to it, right? You have your darker areas gathered up a bit here, you have your lighter areas gathered up there. What are you doing, you naughty git? Oh. It's also very helpful having different areas in your image which have different brightness values. It adds a more three-dimensional depth to the image. You want to, as a colorist, you work together with your DOP. So most color grades are predetermined or based off what look you go for in camera. It's really important when filming to work together with your production designer, and sort of whatever's included in the frame really tells the story. Slows, props, gears, even lights. You set your color in camera.
I mean, these days cameras are so good that whatever you film you can make it look good, but That's where the sort of difference was coming. If you was to give a camera to a professional versus the amateur, that's where you're going to tell the difference.
Before the final point, let's just get out of that traffic. That was ridiculous. And so yeah, the fourth point would be to not overgrade, to take it easy. The way which I sort of find helpful is that if I can justify a change to myself, that's when I would do it. I wouldn't just change things just for the sake of it. Once told me a saying, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone famous. It's like Galileo or something, so you know the guy's talking sense. And the main idea was that the best changes are these subtle ones, the ones you can't tell. I showed him some of my color grading work and he told me, look Ahmed, when I watch this I can tell, wow, the person who's done this knows what he's doing, he's color grading it nicely. I said thank you very much, but he said
it's just there because it's cool and it's just there to sort of be there. There's no real reason that the colors should have been that strong in their tone. If you want to take it one step further, I will include links to videos of people who actually know what they're doing.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Alright, come up with a very unique outro in 3, 2,